Okay, so going on to the next question. This question wants to know how many solutions are there to f of x equals 5. Now, understand the question is not, it is not asking for f evaluated at 5. That's a completely different concept. How many solutions are there to f of x equal 5? So remember, f of x is the same thing as y. And so it wants to know how many points have y coordinate equal to 5. Or another way you could ask this is how many times does the line y equals 5, how many times does it intersect the graph? So the line y equals 5 is here, and you can see that it intersects the graph twice. It has 2 points on the graph whose y-coordinate is 5. So that's what it's asking us. And so the answer to this question would be 2. How many? 2. And so all of these, this comes from a test bank. All of the questions would have wanted to know how many solutions are there to f of x equals something. Okay, so we want to write in 2. Okay. All right, so again, if you have f of x is equal to y, and that's the x coordinate, and that's the y coordinate. So if f of 11 is equal to 2, then the point you know for sure is on the graph is the point 11 comma 2. Similarly, if 11 comma 2 is on the graph, then f evaluated at the x coordinate is equal to the y coordinate. So we want to put in here 11 comma 2. No spaces, no blank spaces. All right, for the next question, they want to know the domain. So if you have a graph and you're asked for domain, that's going to be, use the x-axis to measure how wide, going from left to right. So I come here and I'm starting at -6, but I'm not including it because it's not included anywhere else. And then as I move across, if you can look up or down and see a point, it's included in the domain. And I keep going until I get to here, -2. And when I look up, I do have a point, so that endpoint is included. Then when I look up or down, I don't see anything. So there's a gap. And when I get to 1, I look up and I see a point. So that's where it starts off again. And then if I look up or down, I can always see a point until I get to 5. And when I'm at 5, I look down and there's a point there. But then when I get past 5, there's not anything. So what I've marked in green there is the domain, but you have to give the answer in interval form. So going from left to right, I'm starting at, but I'm not including -6 up until I get to, and I do include -2. And then there's a gap. And I pick it up again at 1. And keep going until I get to 5, and 5 is included. So that is my domain in interval form, and I want to write that without any spaces. So -6 comma -2 in union. So that's a capital U that I just put there. Okay, and so that should do. All right, now what is the range? Well, with range, we use the y-axis to measure how tall from bottom to top. Now, if you look left or right and there's nothing, then you have a gap. But if you look left or right and see at least 1 point, then there's no gap. So we must go from bottom to top. So starting at the bottom, that's the lowest. That corresponds to -6, and it's included. And now as I move up, when I look to the left, I can always see a point. When I get here at negative 2, it's true if I look to the, when I'm going down from the bottom, as I look to the right, I can see a point. And when I get up to here, to negative 2, it's true if I look to the left, there's not a point, but there's still a point to the right, so there's no gap. So all along here, when I'm looking to the left or the right, I can see at least one point, so there's no gap. And then I finish it up here, and so that's my range, and you must go from bottom to top, and I'm starting at and including negative 6, and I finish at and include positive 6. And no blank spaces. Okay. All right, and that finishes off these last questions of the test of the part 2.